on? Okay, I got it. All right, we're ready.
Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. The meeting is the Parks Board meeting, Wednesday, February 4th, 5:30 p.m. And, we'll start with a call to order, which we just did, and a roll call. So, Madam Secretary, do you?
First night secretary, so bear with me here. We have a request to introduce ourselves as we go through roll call. So I'm gonna read the name and then if you would just, I guess, raise your hand. Do you want us to say anything else?
Raise your hand and just identify ourselves.
Okay, sounds good.
And you are?
Oh, what was that?
You are?
I'm Sarah Thorson. What? Oh, sorry, I've been on the board for a couple of years now.
I'm sorry, didn't catch your first name?
Sarah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Betsy. I'm Sarah Thorson, newly appointed secretary. I'm gonna take roll call. Roger Mollendorf.
Roger Mollendorf.
Rod Bordahl.
Rod Bordahl.
Mary Del Gunn.
Mary Dell.
Sarah Thorson. Beth Graham is no longer on the board. Ann Rude.
Ann Rude.
And Luke Russell.
In Japan.
Luke is in Japan, so he's excused.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Or no, excuse me, it's citizens' comments on matters within board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, with a 3-minute maximum. So I'll open it up for citizens' comments. And
Roger, could you clarify, I noticed at the bottom it says also a comment on matter but not on agenda. When will we be able to speak to things that are on the agenda?
you can speak after each agenda item.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right. So, if you'd like to come up, I think you're all crusty veterans out there. Looks like you kind of know the rules. So, please come up to the front, speak towards the microphone.
Roger. Oh, can I just make an announcement about the AI?
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that right before
Okay,
we do
I didn't know
that.
if there's, okay.
Okay.
It's recording me to make your job easier, Secretary.
Yeah.
What? A little bit, yeah.
We're
But,
Did Luke talk you into that?
he has some influence.
That's the way to the future. Cool. My name is Nick Addy. Live outside of town on 120 Matisse Meadows Road. I'm here to talk as the executive director of Beartooth Trails, and specifically about interest from a private landowner who would like to donate his property so that to the city, so that Beartooth Trails could build a trail down it that would connect the West Bench to basically Nutting Lane or Nutting Road. Everybody know where that is, like that. And is everybody aware that there is like a little triangle of city land there that's designated as a park?
Turned into 8.
Yeah, it's kind of the weird alleyway street there. But that there is that little triangle of, it's designated as a park, but obviously it's not like currently used as a park. So yeah, Greg O'Neill would like to donate this property to the city with the intention of, like the specific intention of a trail. We had talked about a land swap a few years ago. I don't know if anyone was part of that discussion. And then there was an alternate land swap is what ultimately happened. But he, that land is undevelopable, so I think he would rather just take the tax break on donation. So there was a little discussion about whether it should be donated to Beartooth Trails or the city, and the mayor and I have kind of come to the idea that it just gets donated to the city, but that it'll connect that. Greg would also like to see that park. It's kind of like all of this is like a little contingent on that park being maybe more made into an actual park as opposed to like some bramble bushes there. And he said he would donate like a little fitness center station, like kind of, I don't know if you guys have seen those in trails and stuff. And so he wants to do something like that at the bottom and just have that kind of cleaned up. The current landowner at the base of the hill right now is like kind of encroached on the city property and is like definitely got a lot of his personal stuff that's like on city property there, which Greg I think would also like to see kind of like worked on, but Dave said that the city's working on that. So
this would connect.
It's pretty ideal. So where the airport loop trail crosses Airport Road, it like right where it crosses and heads south, the trail currently heads south a little bit. That fence line is basically the corner of the property that would be donated. So it would cross Airport Road and there would be a fork and it would like head down the hillside there. and connect, you know, to town. I mean, it's a really ideal spot because of, it's, you know, kind of access into like the central business district, I
It
think is.
would come in around 8,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
okay,
In
by the
fact, there's-
grocery store.
In fact, it looks like there's really two easements, kind of, one on 8th Street and
yeah,
one about halfway between 8th and 7th, I believe. Looks like
Yep.
There might be two public easements into the area.
yeah. And so, you know, Greg, we talked about like, you know, signage and all this stuff, we'd have all that, and, you know, I think we're willing to work with, the landowner at the base of the hill, you know, a privacy fence if they would like something like that, because it is, like, the way that the land works, it kind of like goes over above their property, so it is semi, like, kind of across in their backyard, so, you know, it's not, but it's right beside it. But it's a really great spot to build on, because there is a little seepage at the bottom, but, you know, considering the west bench itself, it's actually a pretty dry spot to have a trail. Yeah, I think that's,
So we can, you'll keep us advised as this project kind of moves along, and we come
Yep.
back and we can agendize this in the future
Yep,
for.
definitely, I think this will be one of those
discussion items.
projects that'll go like, you know, through the full, you know, spectrum. It'll go through city council and everything. Ideally, we would have this ready to go like this summer. I think for Beartooth Trails, it's definitely like one of the top things on our to-do list for this
So,
year's.
Walking and biking.
Ideally, it's, you know, it's gonna be tough with the grade, right, to try to, like, I was actually, one of our volunteers was like, he's an engineer, so he loves this stuff, and he was walking around Adams Street, and he was like, you know, actually, all those streets are like, you know, the grade on the street is actually much steeper than, you know, we're, you know, like 10 to 12% grade, so, pretty steep, but that's pretty tough on like a mountain bike, you know, or stuff. So ideally, it would be is like, it's, you know, it's gonna have a lot of switchbacks initially to overcome the grade.
Right.
But yeah, we would be willing to like do the building and all of that stuff, so, yeah.
Okay, I forgot to set my timer, so we probably.
I've been like kind of watching, I don't think I'm over quite yet, but,
Okay.
yeah.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Congratulations, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it's an exciting, you know,
Yeah.
proposition. I feel like something that I was interested in and then I thought had completely died and
Yeah.
and then serendipitously dropped back into our lap.
Is there
so.
any way to connect the trail that goes up to the housing that's already there?
Totally, yeah, we could do
Okay.
that. That's easy peasy,
Okay.
you know, and I also think like Luke and I have talked about, you know, I think we'd like to, this will be a separate proposal, but to come, you know, put some like trail crossing sign on Airport Road, you know, there needs to be something there
Right.
to alert motorists that there's people crossing and,
Right.
yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, kind of exciting.
Thank you.
Any other citizen comments?
I don't. There should be, is there one up there?
Any, citizen comments on Zoom?
I know.
One more time back to the audience, any
A lot of
citizen comments?
duplication.
Okay, going once, going twice, 3 times, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda and the minutes. And before we get to the minutes, Sarah is requested a little bit of time to explain the new way we're gonna handle the minutes, incorporating AI, and what that impact may have on the way we run meetings. So
Yeah.
give public comment.
Thanks, Roger. Nothing major. The city is kind of pushing towards using AI as a summary for our meeting minutes. They've been testing it through various types of meetings, and it has proved sufficient. So we are also going to follow that model with Parks Board. One thing that would be super helpful, obviously AI can't pick up voices and tones. It doesn't know who each one of us is. So before speaking, if you can just state your name. So Betsy, thank you for calling me out because I didn't do it at the beginning of the meeting. So Sarah, just requesting that before you speak or make a comment, just if you could introduce yourself, best practice, that would be super helpful. I'm also taking notes as well, just to make sure that we've got everything captured and moving forward. So
Okay.
that was, I guess, mainly for the board too.
Yep.
Thanks.
So the key is to, particularly if you want any comments you make on the record, to make sure you identify yourself by name, so that the minutes will pick that up and who to attribute the comments to. So with that, any questions from the board about that?
I think that's great.
I think so too. So we'll move on to approval of the agenda and the minutes of the January 7th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a?
I move to approve.
Okay,
Thank you, Sarah.
okay,
I would still back credit.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. So now we're gonna move on to discussion items with possible action. And, first up is Red Lodge Ice, alternative location discussion, and Tom?
Great, gonna start here for us.
All right. Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Ray Kuntz, and also for the AI record, I welcome our future robot overlords.
Okay, good.
We're here tonight on behalf of Red Lodge Ice because at the city council meeting where we presented some overall ideas for ice rink improvement and development, city council asked us to provide it with design and engineering studies for two potential locations. First being Lions Park, where the ice rink currently exists, and the second being a potential site at the intersection of Route 78 and Airport Road. That site currently is not a city park. And so what we would like to ask the Parks Board to do tonight is to consider whether it believes that this is a good site for a city park, and if it would support establishment of a city park at that location, so that it's feasible to do a study for engineering and design of an ice rink in a city park at that location. It's just that simple.
But, Ray, maybe for the benefit of some of the people who weren't at the city council meeting last week, would you maybe talk about some of the attributes of that property that you fit, that the Red Lodge Ice feels may be advantageous to
Certainly.
consider that site?
I'd be happy to. The reason that site at the intersection of Airport Road and 78, and it's kind of not really a triangle, it's maybe a trapezoid, but it's large. There's a lot of room there. It has power. You need power to run a cooling compressor. You need power for lighting. You need power for your Zamboni and storage building. And it has water. And there it is.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
And so you can see it there. You can see on the bottom side, Airport Road goes around it. 78 comes up along on the upper left there. The housing complex is there off to the upper right. And in fact, the trail Nick was just talking to you about would come up on the lower right.
Yeah,
there
you
as well.
can see that. So Ray, we're talking about the teardrop shaped area, kind of on the north and east portion of the parcel, right?
It would be this. This has already been land traded.
Okay.
I believe it's been processed through, so this is no longer a separate ownership.
Yeah, Dave confirmed that.
Yeah, so it's this piece right there. So
And that's big enough.
if Jody, if you would just slide just a little to the left,
Okay, left?
a
Ah,
little bit more, and then.
I'm sorry, try in. Why won't it let me? Won't let me, hang on.
It's the GIS system.
Yeah, it's, I think it's because it was the PDF of the,
Oh, yeah, the PDF.
yeah, so I can't.
Okay, so in any case, this is the current, this right here actually is where the current ice rink is, just to give you an idea of
Oh.
size and scope, and so it's 5 or 6 times the site of Lions Park in terms of area where we operate in Lions Park in terms of what there is. So
Okay.
Tom, I mentioned there, if you can see that triangular shaped property that Nick was talking about
Yep.
earlier too, so that could lead
Sorry.
a pathway up
Yeah.
to that
Uh-huh.
site.
Yeah, I think they're talking about coming up here, here's where it crosses, so,
Yep.
yeah. So it does provide some walkability of that piece.
And it's already degraded
What's that?
already. I mean, it's not, green space.
This is airport right now, is that what you're asking?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so this was part of the airport, just little piece of history. If you go back to the original view, it'll just give you that, give us a little bit, I think. Airport Road used to go through where this blue line is, this edge of this blue line.
Okay.
This was Airport Road originally. when the highway department redid Highway 78, in order to try a better visibility and traffic flow, they moved Airport Road to be across. They used to be offset. Of course, then we did a development that put a road right across from that anyway, but they prefer to have the intersections be across from each other, so that what happened is then this orphaned a piece of land that was owned, that was part of the airport. It's now no longer connected to the airport. So it is still zoned, which is maybe your next item, it is still zoned public airport as opposed to park or other just general public use, so.
Read anything else?
If there's any other questions, I'm happy to address them. Otherwise, I'll sit down.
Any questions from the board?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Any other questions? No. Okay. How about, questions from the audience?
No.
Comments? Right, that's.
Roger and the park board, thanks again for another opportunity. We had a good presentation originally.
Identify yourself.
And I am Betsy Scanlon. I live at 401 North Ward, a block up from the current ice skating rink. And I am pleased to see the progress in discussions and presentation, thank you, Tom and Ray, about an alternative site, which I think is much more appropriate if we have this at all. And so I just want to speak to additional comments from our previous meeting. And one of it is that this project really is tremendously larger than originally presented. It's not just the 200 by 85 feet. It's another cement platform for the generators, which are 10 tons. It's a major thing. Then there's an expansion of it envisioned, which would not be really compatible with the current Lions Park, which is already addressing parking issues, that kind of thing. So I am particularly interested in this alternative location, and I think that given Brian Hanna's extended report, if you haven't read that yet, his letter, this is our city building inspector. He compared this project to ones in Whitefish, in Kalispell, Lewistown, I don't know, Boise, some of the bigger jurisdictions, way bigger than we are, way bigger. And the fact that there would be $5,000 a month just in electrical bills tells us not only is it coming out of somebody's budget, parks or the cities somewhere else, perpetually, whether this flies or not, but it also is going to be, it's going to increase maintenance costs, operational costs. So I would, number one, ask you to question yourself whether this is an appropriate use of park funds in general. And isn't there some other ways we can use park funds or use the resort tax funds that aren't in your jurisdiction for infrastructure, other kinds of infrastructure than this, which would have supposedly tourist increase. So it's larger than it appeared. Operations and maintenance were revealed. Who does it primarily serve? The locals already use Lions Park. The additional cost would be for tourists, supposedly. But your mission is the value of open space in our city. We're not making any more open space or parks. I'm going to plead to you to keep what we have. And that means grass, that means Lions Park, our initial request. You are our representatives, and we're asking you to please hear what we want to do is keep Lions Park the way it is. If this goes that way, I don't have as much objection. I still think that it's a tremendously big project. If you take it on as a new park, you have to recognize it's going to be more expensive, more operations, and a bigger burden on the city. So thank you for this opportunity again. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hi.
Beth Hutchinson, 219 12th Street. One thing, I'm really excited to look at this as an option because I spent some time with the Community Foundation looking at it as an option for workforce housing. And I can actually see them working together pleasantly there. I have a background in landscape architecture. And one of the things that bothered me about the workforce housing proposals when we were talking about them a couple of years ago was the fact that when you come up 78 and you look, the mountains. And it would have killed me if a blockade of really simplistic, nasty-looking housing was put there, which was what was being discussed. However, if there is the option to turn that into a park, there are a lot of things people could do there, and the lower section on the map could be turned into some better-looking workforce housing. And it's likely that with workforce housing, we would finally have some children, because I also work with the census, and we have hardly any children. That, at least as a location for a variety of reasons, looks darn good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Any other comments?
Maybe you should, though.
No. No.
Steve Smith, 517 North Hauser. I'm going to repeat a little bit of what Betsy mentioned, and that is Brian Hanna's analysis report on 8 different sites, 7 in Montana, 1 in Idaho, communities that have ice rinks and have built ice rinks. Each of those 8, once they were built, the community loved them. They were great. There was a lot of growth pressure on them. More use, maybe more buildings, more all kinds of things. Permanent ice, more infrastructure for them. And I'd just like to make the comment that I believe, in my opinion, that this site at 78 and Airport Road is a better site than Lions Park for that growth potential. There's a lot of advantages to having more room, of course, and I think a permanent slab, a beautiful rink is really going to get used a lot, and there's going to be a lot of growth pressure. There's lots of room up here, which we don't really have at Lions Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Tom?
Tom Coley, 106 Adams Avenue South. I like the idea of exploring all options. I think that's really wise for everyone involved with this project to do so. However, I'm hearing some things that concern me a little bit, and just that we're talking not just an ice rink facility here, we're talking about the expansion of an entire new park. And I'm not sure they put together the cost, but the cost in addition to the ice rink, the parking, the public bathrooms, the walkways, everything that goes along with the park. I just want to make sure we're serious on pursuing this, that it's a full-on park expansion, not just an ice rink expansion. And I just want to make sure the city is behind this 100% to, as Ray said, dedicate it as a park, because it needs all those amenities to make it a true city infrastructure project. So,
Thank you. Comments?
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I'm Audrey Clark. I live at 194 West Fork Road, and I'm a proud hockey aunt. I love the idea of hockey and having it here in Red Lodge. And my in opposition to Tom, I'm suggesting dream big. You know, start out small. I like the airport site. Start small if you have to have porta potties for a while, that type of thing. That works at our other parks. So It's not like everything has to be done all at once. And, so, yeah, and I do have a question. No matter where it's spelled, who pays for the water and who pays for the electricity? And who would be paying for those things, if we did, you know, the bigger drain on down the road in this location?
Currently, I think, Mike, or Tom, I'm trying to review, but I believe the city pays utility costs.
That's right. Yep.
And I imagine.
And we would be, with the new,
And we would
New one.
anticipate it'd be like that,
it'd be a lot more.
Out of resort tax, probably,
well, out of the park
I
budget.
think that's yet
Yeah.
to be decided, but.
yeah, but you can't afford it anywhere else, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, so the question, you're answering the question, and, I'm sorry, Becky Larson.
Yeah,
thanks,
please
Becky.
come up.
Sorry. Becky Larson, 450 North Hauser. So you're basically answering the question that resort taxes would end up paying for it.
It's
So
yet to be decided, but usually our parks are funded out of resort tax.
Okay, so
And
it goes back to the residents of Red Lodge to pay for all of the water, electricity, everything else that has to be done up
Well,
there,
it's
if
also
it comes out of
tourists-
resort tax.
Tourists that also pay for resort tax,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
It's not just the city of residents that
Just
pay
that-
resort tax.
Maintenance of all of our parks, ball fields and everything else.
Okay, okay, all right. And if I can continue for just a second, there was a, 2025, they did a downtown master plan, which was very informative. In this, there is some thought about town square, ice rink type of thing. One of the things that they make a big deal about in all of this, in this downtown master plan, is public input. Public input, public input, public input. This is not something that, you know, in all of these master plans, the charts, the goals, what they want to do, it's not just a case of what city council wants to do, but in your master plan, it talks about public input. So when we talk about public input, are we talking about possible voting on situations like this instead of just leaving it up to a council member? And I think that needs to be asked and thought of. Also, a comprehensive parks plan was done in 2015. I feel that's 10, 11 years out of, you know, pretty much expired as far as we're concerned, since we have grown so much since 2015. So I think the downtown master plan then and that comprehensive parks plan needs to be updated. That needs to be looked at. And that could be funded by the tourism grant because it is part of increasing the parks, the recs, and what we can do with that and everything else. And again, big bold letters, public input. It needs to be public input. Again, we have not done any kind of noise pollution, sound pollution, traffic studies, anything like this on this project. And whether it's down in Lions Park or up there on the highway, which I agree is the better place for it. I just feel like we need to have the public input and we need to make sure we're doing it correctly. I also don't understand why we don't have a public plan, a planner, city planner for this. This is what's going to be done is a big project. We need someone who's a master planner who knows what they're doing with all of this because it is a big project. And I think everybody at City Council last week all felt like, wow, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in. This is a lot to do. There's a lot of questions here. There's a lot of questions at this point that have not been answered. So I feel like a city planner needs to be involved in this, and I think the city needs to look at that kind of situation. I want to say that I'm totally in for Highway 78. I just know my husband works at a mine, and those big compressors, 24/7, serious noise pollution. He lives way out in the boonies with them, so it doesn't bother him. But in town, he says right next door to us, it's going to be noisy, and it's going to be tough, and they're heavy, and they are constant maintenance, and that is not maintenance the city can do. That is maintenance that we are going to have to hire out for. They are big compressors. They cost a lot of money to maintain. According to my husband, they have to be maintained monthly, and that is another cost that will come up on us. We talked about some wind issues, and I think we need to think about if we're up on Highway 78, some beautiful trees up there to block that wind would just make it look more beautiful, make it look more like a park, and I think we need to think about that. Anyway, that's my
like huge everything going through my head all at once, and I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from public?
I'm Teresa Tafoya on North Hauser. I like the 78 idea. I think that's a great idea. The one concern I was having with it being in Lions Park, among many actually, but I'll point out one, is that with that area paved, and then the idea that other groups, you know, could utilize that cement, then that means a lot more traffic, a lot more stress, and a lot more usage on that slab that would have, you know, coils running through it. So it's really a lot more delicate than just an actual slab of cement. So I think that it would be a lot more detrimental to upkeep if it were in Lions Park versus 78, because at 78, then it's an actual ice rink dedicated for that, and, you know, with the room for expansion and everything else, but it's dedicated cement with coils in it for that particular area, rather than multi-use people, you know, who knows? I saw some kids at the ice skating rink the other day, and they had shoes on, and they had what are those called? Those little
Ice scooters.
yeah, those little ice scooters, and they were like pounding it on the ice, and they, you know, they were being kids, and they were being a little destructive. So, you know, if you have a big slab of cement in Lions Park, I mean, there could be all kinds of different, you know, things that could happen there, especially with the deer on it, and, you know, and so I think there would be a lot more maintenance to that than it would be on 78. So that's my thought anyway.
Any more comments? Any comments from the board?
Just a quick question on, the map is gone. Did you guys talk about on either side of the road, like why choosing that specific side versus, because the plot is bigger than just what we were talking about? The outline
Can you put that
south of airport,
the-
Rebecca?
The other, because that's still part of the airport, the other side, and the airport boundary itself follows that road, so it's not available. It's
Okay,
only
so just talking about that little triangle is the
Yes,
city zone,
that's-
not the full.
that's east
Okay.
of the road, not
I feel like
what,
that doesn't make clear
not
when
what-
we were talking the other day.
west of the road is
Okay.
still part of the airport.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think the parcel that was highlighted is not the correct. That was a parcel that, and sometimes it's important to understand that we can utilize the state cadastral system. The cadastral system will group lots and group things that are not necessarily grouped. So just because it even shows there as a big group doesn't actually mean there aren't separate lots or separate property boundaries within that. It just means it's common ownership. So.
Thank you.
Comment or question for you regarding engineering study. Was the engineering study take in some of the ideas that come up with the audience here about traffic studies, you know, light studies, noise studies, that type of thing?
Probably not. I mean, not that it couldn't, but probably not.
I mean, it seems like at a minimum, there should be some, at least a traffic study done for that area. It's gonna increase the traffic on Airport Road.
I think maybe as a new park in general, we should be looking at overall plans for that park.
Yeah, that's a good
including
point.
trail.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You know, if we're contemplating that there may be other uses for that besides an ice skating rink, if there's some other recreational type of amenities that could be incorporated in it, it would be nice to, you know, maybe flush some of that out. What I'd hate to see is, let's put the ice skating rink here, and then 10 years later, we'll go, well, what about this item? You know, what about this type of feature, and how does it all work together? So there could be some master plan of that site. What I'm getting at is that Coal Miners Park is kind of an example. We tend to want to put 6 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound bag there. And I'd hate to see us kind of making that kind of mistake again.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of complementary uses. There's also, you know, there's a lot more space up there that you'd have an opportunity for other uses, should you choose. You know, I maybe would discourage the idea that you would figure all that out right now, because one of the things that I think sometimes is good, in a community when you're making planning, is to not pre-plan every single space, when you realize sometimes you're gonna wanna have spaces that don't have designations and plans for things that will happen in the future. I think the city has gotten themselves into that problem in the past when they've sold city land, not seeing a future use for it. And, you know, 30 years ago, we sold a lot of city land that I think we would, as a community, love to see the city still own.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough comment. I don't think we can foresee all the things that could happen in that location, nor do I suggest we try to do that. But in the planning, kind of.
There's a lot of complementary uses. I mean, in terms of summer uses, you know, these ice rinks are, it's shockingly, actually, you know, it's funny, because we talk about this ice rink, you know, in Lions Park being an amenity for this community 100 years ago, right? And it's interesting to note that ice skating, as well as hockey, are really a growing thing in Montana right now. Many of our small communities are trying to do what we're doing, except they've never had an ice rink before. And so, you know, a lot of the communities are trying to add winter physical activities to get people outside. They're finding they're useful. They're also finding that they bring people to their communities, and they find that they give their residents some things to do. You know, we do have a ski area, but a lot of communities in Montana don't have ski areas, and so providing an ice skating rink is one of the things they can do to provide an outdoor structured winter activity that may not exist in their community. So, you know, I think, and the advantage to that is that, you know, as more communities do it, it becomes more popular, and you see more people enjoying that recreational activity. So.
But I think this is kind of the first step. This is kind of like maybe the next step in determining whether, I guess I hate to use the word feasibility, but is it feasible to use that site for an ice skating rink of this nature and this kind of facility? Some of the comments that have come up about the cost, maintenance costs, and that, I think that is going to be, it's going to have to be determined before final approval of the project. And we have memorandums of understandings that we work with other participating groups, that we can flesh a lot of that out during that process as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's important to recognize and at least acknowledge is that, you know, there's kind of been two criticisms that we've gotten in this project. One is that we're moving forward without talking to people about it, and then on the second side, we get, well, we don't have enough information. Well, the reason we don't have the information is we actually haven't moved forward with anything. And so, you know, the part of the pilot tourism grant, the first step in that for the funding is to do an engineering report to get the information to answer a lot of these questions that folks do have. And so, you know, really what we need to do is say, yeah, we want to move forward to doing the study, right? Like, because that's how you'll get that information back, is by actually doing the study. And, it, you know, a lot of it's anecdotal until we get to that point to even know exactly what's going on.
And so the key point is, we got to do two studies. Can this airport and 78 site be a park that we should be studying along with Lions Park? And that's what we need this board to take a look at.
Yeah.
And who pays for that study?
The pilot tourism grant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a done deal that we are going to study it with
Yes.
pilot.
Well, no,
I mean,
that's what they're asking for tonight, Betsy. They're asking the board to make a decision if that site is a suitable site to have a engineering study performed. Is that correct?
That's correct. Exactly. Yeah, and I think, I mean, I maybe want to clarify, and I think where Brett's going. There's a lot of support for having a nice rink in our community. I think there's no question about that. And so the question becomes right now, where is it? Is the pilot tourism grant the only funding for that? It's not. It's funding we have. We also have $400,000 worth of resort tax funding that's designated, for, ice rink improvements, that's budgeted for. And, you know, there's lots of there will continue to be lots of pressure to continue to improve ice skating and outdoor recreational winter activities. That piece of it. So, you know, we will continue to move forward with this in whatever form that it needs to at some point. And so, you know, this is where we sit today to say, hey, we've got funding right now, and we want to perform studies to see where we move forward with, and we have 2 viable locations, and so the question is does the Parks Board see that Highway 78 as a viable location or not? And if they don't, then the recommendation will come to the council that, hey, we don't think this should be a recommended site. And if there's another site that you guys feel or the community feels is a viable site, you know, we would love to know about that as well. We've done a lot of research in sites and spent a lot of time with Public Works Department, and to look at what those viable sites are. And, you know, these are the 2 that we've come up with, that really are viable sites.
Okay. Beth, did you have a comment?
Yeah, you started out with, studies on traffic, et cetera, and I really think that needs to be emphasized because a lot of the, studies that got out into print failed to cover certain elements that should have been covered. And some of the engineering companies that we've worked with or planning companies we worked with have done really haphazard work. For an example, I was asked last spring to look back over the downtown plan, and there were a lot of elements that were never covered. So whoever, if you are going to have these plans moving forward, I think we need to raise our expectations for the information we receive and not just get some kind of boilerplate based on previous associations and so forth.
Well, I'm going to turn it back over to the board. Someone would like to make a motion regarding this site as being an acceptable site.
I'd like to clarify something first. So, if we make a recommendation that this should be rezoned as park space, they do the study, and for whatever reason it turns out that that's not feasible, are we comfortable then knowing that that's still park space, just not being used for the hockey rink? I just want to call out that like, are we recommending that for the specific use of the ice rink? Can that be a big part of the motion, or does that need to be a big part of the motion? And if it doesn't actually go through, then are we just stuck with this space that we need to utilize in a good way that makes sense, that it's park property?
Let me try to answer that question. I think, you know, my thoughts have changed a little bit on this since we put this agenda together, but I think really what we're talking about right now is the 2 separate issues. One is rezoning the site. That'd be the second issue. I think that could probably wait until after the engineering studies are completed.
Okay, so that was my other question is, does one thing have to happen before the other?
The engineering studies, I think, would have to happen first, and then the decision probably would be come back if at some point, if we wanted to move on and designate that as the spot, then we should look at the rezoning and working with the
Planning board.
The planning board. Thank you.
I think ultimately the planning board probably in their review of the zoning regulations that they're involved now is going to look to rezone that to something other than airport.
Right.
What that is, you know, this may influence or not, and it could be left at the airport for now as, you know, just to hold it. But it obviously doesn't make sense to have it zoned to airport specifically anymore.
Exactly, Mike.
This is why we need a city planner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's come up pretty loud and clear during this meeting.
Absolutely.
And I would even, well, I'm not going to go there on this. So anyhow, do we have a motion?
What?
To.
Oh, nice.
Do we have a motion from the board, to, recommend that this be an acceptable site for the, to have a engineering study conducted as a possible ice skating rink?
Yes,
Yes,
I make a motion to recommend it. Yep, I so move.
I'll second.
okay. Any discussion? Okay,
For myself, that's the preferred site over Lions Park by far.
okay.
There's way more room. I built an ice rink once. Within 2 years, it was covered. They, were unable to get ice to stay. They needed a cover. And I can see that happening if it went into Lions, with a big cover on there, you'd see some really upset folks. And I don't think there's enough room in Lions Park personally to encompass the skating rink if it ever became covered. So for that reason, I think the preferred site is definitely up on Highway 78.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
Chairman, I didn't know that. Would you repeat the motion?
I'll try to repeat the motion.
Engineering study, is that what the motion?
Yeah.
The motion.
To approve that site for an engineering study. Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so I think we can all agree that the next item on here, the park's recommendation on Highway 78, the Brewery Hill site, rezoning is a issue that we can possibly address later on. Is that correct? So we'll bypass that. Okay, next item on the list is the Red Lodge Ice MOU renewal, and Ann, would you like to?
Tom, you want a copy of the MOU?
No, I'm gonna let the lawyer deal with this issue.
It's just, there's 4 views, so if you'll read those. I'm gonna stand up because I wanna make a statement. Stole my thunder, Mike, and, I think you stole my thunder.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
Okay, for those who don't know, the Red Lodge Ice MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, was incomplete. And, I suggested some changes, some additions, mainly to clean up the park after they're done, which didn't happen last year. But what happened is the MOU was incomplete by 2 pages. And I came here yesterday once and today twice. And Lonnie and Danae, clerks here, the deputy clerks, they went through the Parks Board meeting minutes from 2021 to figure out what had happened. And that's a poor use of their time to go through minutes for 5 years, and my time, but all the more reason to get a planner. If there's incomplete MOUs, this was ridiculous, and poor Lonnie and Danae spent the whole afternoon reading minutes from 21. This never went to the council, but it was approved by the Parks Board in 22, and then signed by Mayor Cogswell in 23. And this is the MOU I think we want.
The city council did not
No,
approve that?
I don't think so, no. So
So,
it's not really valid.
yeah,
I mean.
no, it's not.
I'm like, we didn't authorize the mayor
The
to sign
sign
it.
page is empty. So,
I mean, it's fine to follow it,
Jody,
but.
do you want a copy of this?
Yes, please.
That's my cheat sheet.
Okay, you can get me a copy.
Okay.
And it's,
But
I just,
anyway, if you all can read this, and it has verbiage in here about cleaning up at the end of the season, which didn't happen last year. And I think we might be covered with some few additions. But if you all would just take this home, read it, and, but Danae said a lot of the MOUs are incomplete. And we don't have a planner, and I'm talking about a local planner, not a planner in Billings. just someone that you can run up the stairs and say, hey, help me with this. We're all amateurs. We don't, we need help a lot of times.
Pam?
Yes.
We had a planner, Courtney was our planner.
She's been gone for 2 years.
No, I know, but when these were done, and she had gone through, her goal was to go through, and the Parks Board, to go through all of those MOUs back in, because I was on the Parks Board for a year then, and they were they were rounding up all the MOUs and going through it. So Courtney was the planner when that happened, and I don't know why it didn't go in front of council for a vote. And I don't know why the whole thing wasn't there.
But
Yeah,
it's not professional. The MOUs are incomplete, and it just put more work on those two gals that they could ill afford. So if y'all would just read that, and Ray, you probably want a copy of this, don't you, or do you have it?
No, it'd be great if you had.
But anyway, that's my report. If y'all can just read it, we can keep adding to it next month.
So I have a question for you. The one that has just recently expired.
That was, okay.
That was on January 12th, 2023. It was for a 2-year.
Expired last year.
But you said that one was never brought to the city council.
Well, it was missing 2 pages. That's what I noticed.
Okay.
So I came to see Danae. I said, I'm missing page 2 and 4. So that's what they had to go through and find. And this is the complete MOU. It's now 5 pages. Or maybe it's 4 because it could have dropped down on the 5th page.
So this isn't the one that you forwarded to us the other night?
No,
They had the
those are
school
just
board
my
time.
suggestions about cleaning up and taking ownership of the park, because they're there for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Why not take ownership of it better? That was my plea.
And I haven't really looked through this, but the one that you handed out today, the complete one, does that address insurance issues?
I think it does have MMIA on page, yes, on page 2, number 4, the city shall maintain liability coverage through the MMIA.
Okay, and how about, okay, well, we'll talk about these. I'm thinking about events held at the ice skating rink, and if there were tournaments, would there be insurance that
I
would cover it?
don't think it covers this here. We do need to expand on this, but this is the best we have right now, and it's complete.
So what you're asking is that we move forward and work on a
Yes.
new MOU?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I think we've talked about, or Beth, I think has suggested a complete MOU overhaul, like for all
Yes.
the parks.
Yeah.
So I think it's on the
We need
radar.
to review all of them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
My,
When you do that, make sure you get Dennis involved, the city attorney.
well, that's.
He needs to be part of the process. I think in the past, they weren't as much as maybe they should have been.
Okay.
Well, I think so too, and I was concerned that the last MOU that we dealt with on the disc golf course, my understanding that came to the council before our city attorney had a chance to review it.
No, you did
And I
not.
don't think that should ever happen.
No.
The city attorney should review all the MOUs before they come to the city. Because otherwise, we keep, okay, now we're gonna go back in, and we're restarting all the time, and I think we need to have a systematic approach.
I would just suggest that you have, and I don't know if we have this already, but like a boilerplate, like first this comes, and then this comes, and this
That's
comes,
what we're
and then
working
this comes. So you have all of those points addressed, the insurance, the responsibility, and that all groups are treated the same,
Yes.
and the same expectation is put out there for all groups.
And I think that it would maybe be helpful to work with Dennison just to get some of those key element boilerplate items identified too.
Yes, definitely.
I know I'm not part of the board.
Well, and if you have any comments, I need to have you come up here too, please.
Also, I think, like, just as part of the agenda item, and I did speak to Andy, I know, a little bit. And so Andy spoke to me, and this is part of what we had in our files with respect to the draft MOU. And so I put together an MOU incorporating Ann's concerns. For example, you'll see in number 8, and these are essentially the same documents. This language is just tuned up a little bit. But for example, number 8, provide for ice rink takedown and cleanup of all infrastructure at the end of the season once the ice is melted and weather permits. that kind of thing. So I've marked these as RLI, Red Lodge Ice drafts, so you can distinguish them from those documents you've already got. I've got 6 copies here for everyone, so you can take a look at these. And so these might also help. They're largely working off the same documents here. This is just got a little more tinkering on it as I've gone through it, but could possibly form a basis for a recommended MOU for your consideration. So 6 copies there for everyone.
Thank you, Ray.
And hopefully that will help move it forward. And I'm happy to work with even putting together a little bit of a overall template that can work for everyone. I serve as city attorney for the towns of Bridger and Joliet, so I have some familiarity with handling municipal MOUs, and would be happy to help. And with respect to insurance, I just wanted to address that here in where the language already providing for in section 4 on page 2, covering activities of Red Lodge Ice in the park under what's called the MMIA, Montana Municipal Interlocal Authority, coverage of memorandum of coverage does cover the city's responsibility and liability for anything that happens in the park during an RLI, Red Lodge Ice event. Red Lodge Ice itself needs other coverage as an independent entity, but the city's liability is fully covered by the MMIA memorandum of coverage.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for that up. Madam Chair?
It's just an aside, can we use tourism grant money to hire a city planner?
I
No.
think the position's
I know.
budgeted already.
Yeah, we have, we are paying for city planning services right now through WWC. We currently have budgeted for as more of a city administrator / planner, and the mayor has worked on that job description and is working on getting that out. So it's really going to depend on who applies and what they're, if they're going to be more of a finance type or if they're going to be more planning. He's really hoping for more planning type experience in that position.
I think her question was, where does the funding come from?
It's already budgeted.
It's budgeted in our
How does-
general fund.
Public Works?
No, general fund. It's a little of everything, because they would they'd help out with water, sewer, resort tax, you know how it goes,
So resort tax funds could be applied for a city manager.
No.
It's structured. And then overseeing the
I think we're getting off track.
Yes.
We're way off topic here.
Yeah.
A city planner sort of manager is a conflict of interest. Their desires to do things are not necessarily in alignment. One is focused more on broader policy, and the other is focused more on technical implementation. So some people here feel we should have that on the record.
Okay, so, this is not an agenda on the item.
Right.
An item for agenda tonight. I'd like to just keep
Park
us focused to what we're working on. This is an issue that really needs to be brought to the city council.
Yeah, thank you.
I did get it back.
All right? Okay, so, if there's no other questions, I don't think there's any action at
I
this
just
point.
want to make sure that this is so confusing to all of us, so if you have any questions, just write me and but it's a very confusing, exercise.
I can kind of foresee that maybe we would handle this in the same manner we did with the disc golf, and we have maybe a couple individuals from our board work with Ray and, Red Lodge Ice to hammer out a MOU, and we'll bring it back for approval.
And I think that we should not put MOUs on next month's agenda, and just, look at them and, take charge of them.
We'll just have a 2-person MOU committee.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Right, make a note of that.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on now to, park projects and updates. Mike?
I'll start with tennis. We worked through trying to get a design and a real cost estimate for the tennis court that are proposed to be built up there. we looked at doing an RFP for design. We weighed that against using our contract engineer, had the contract engineer write up a task order for that. Tennis agreed to pay for the expense of that design, the surveying, the design, cost estimation, and including that was oversight of the project when they do it, of inspection. On Friday of last week, they gave me written agreement that they would be responsible for that. So I got that fired up on Friday. We're gonna do the survey work tomorrow. I did move things around a little bit because they had a cost estimate they had come up with, and it could be spot on. I kind of wanted to hear what the engineers had to say. So in the front end of the process, hopefully within 2 weeks, say, after the surveying, we're gonna get kind of a rough we're gonna get 2 cost estimates out of this process, an initial one, just to make sure it's feasible before we go to design and spend their money. So that's kind of where that project's at right now. The other one is, that we've been working on, is the Pride Park project, which, I know you guys are aware we had, Second Nature landscape architect do some concept drawings. I took those concept drawings and we've looked at them. The garden clubs looked at them. Everybody kind of liked them. I turned those into construction drawings and made 3D renderings of them. My computer's acting funny, but I'll try to put it up there. Does that do it? I'll just hit that one. So, and this you can kind of zoom around and up. My thing's going, see, my mouse isn't working right. But this is what Second Nature came up with. It's got, everything's curved on it, which is kind of cool. I drew up another one based on more like, and this is all concrete. This would be concrete, stamped and dyed. This is concrete. These are all concrete, so we won't have to worry about them rotting out like the ones that are there have done. But we had a cost estimate of $80,000 from Second Nature for this. As I got through the construction drawings, I became a little skeptical if we were going to get it done with all these curves, so I drew up another one. And this one doesn't have all the plants in it or anything. Is it going to switch? My computer's got the little spinny thing going. But the other one is not coming up. Oh, yeah, there it is. It's more angular, and I don't have the plants or anything. So I'm going to have both bid to see if we can do the curved one for the 80, we will. If we're not, then we'll probably move back to this style, which is just, the only difference is like right here, instead of being a curve, it's a, see if I can zoom in without going too far. But it'll just be straight angles, so it'll be a lot cheaper to build. And either way, we would do something in the stamped concrete with the design. In talking with the garden club, in that $80,000 budget, we would like to try and also put a new coat of paint on that whole wall. And we have spoke to the owner of the building, and they're good with that. So, and how this would proceed is that we'd bid out the flat work and the form work for the planners, and Public Works would do all the demo work to keep costs down. And we're trying to figure out a way to do like a synthetic wood material for the benches, and have them all supported without legs come down, like iron. And we might have to contract that part out too. And with this version, the synthetic wood's easier than if we went with
The curves.
the curves, because, it's harder to curve wood. If it'll come up, yeah. It's easy on the computer.
That's
So,
more seating, this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, any questions on that?
But, so Mike, what is the, couple questions, what would be the timing that you think?
Ideally, like, I would like to, as soon as we have construction weather, and try and get it done like before the pass opens, when things are a little quiet, get it done before. If we don't hit that window, then we'll wait till fall and try and get it in. We're not gonna do it during the
During the
summer.
height of the season.
No.
The other question I have is, the planters, that's gonna be concrete, right?
Yes,
Um,
and they'll have like a stucco type finish with a dye in the concrete,
Okay.
so that when they get chipped, it's still
all
the
the way
same
through.
color.
That was one of the things I was gonna ask, and the other.
And the slab will be the same way. Right now, the slab that's there, you can see, they just put a color on top,
Yeah,
and it's wore off.
It wears off. The, my experience is that planters like that make great targets for graffiti. And I'm wondering if there could be some relief or texture or something on it that, so you don't have a clean canvas for people to spray graffiti.
I think what we had, what Neil in the concept had was like a stucco finish, so it'd
Okay.
have some,
Not quite as.
it wouldn't be a
inviting as
smooth finish.
Smooth. And we've seen that, the problem at the skating, skate park too, Okay, good. Any questions?
Oh, and one other thing, and I don't think it's on there, we're gonna, when we do all this, we are gonna put in, some outlets in the planters. We're gonna redo the irrigation system, and we're also gonna redo the light on the wall with something a little better. So, kind of a makeover.
Are the trees gonna stay that are there?
Hmm?
They are staying?
Yeah, the footprint doesn't change a lick.
So that's just a third of the park, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just.
The front.
Basically, those planters are the same size and dimensions as what's there. The planter that's in the far back is the one that's existing, and that's not gonna be touched.
And how thick are the walls, given people like to sit on them 4th of July, et cetera?
Oh, they're gonna be,
Good,
probably
yeah.
6-inch
Yeah.
concrete.
Go ahead.
Betsy Scanlon. If I could speak, because I help maintain the one next to what we call the Flashes Wall. We're really grateful to have this moving on because the wood there has deteriorated over years. One of the things that was concerning in the garden club itself is the proposed lighting. And I would like, maybe some park input on whether we want to be, lighting up our parks like that. One was underneath the benches, interesting concept, and the other one was the wall lighting.
The wall lighting's there right now.
Excuse me, Mike, what?
The wall lighting's there right now. We're just gonna replace the fixture.
On the red wall?
On the red wall.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've never really had a problem with graffiti, but I do appreciate your concern about that.
You never have a problem till you have it.
Yeah. You need to be able to paint over it or erase it.
Yeah, that's difficult too.
Mike, the back part will still have the grass and the picnic table.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, it's just that little,
That's
it's
that
just the
front.
planters essentially, and then in order to get like a durable, long-lasting concrete planter in there, it doesn't make sense it makes sense to do the slab at the same time because it's pretty deteriorated.
It has concrete there now.
Mike?
What's that?
You do have planned lighting under the bench?
That was in one of the concept drawings, but I didn't get a lot of positive feedback on that, so I didn't include it in this. It could be added or not, but right now it's not.
Okay.
I think at one point there was a light in one of the concept drawings, a new light added, and I felt like nobody wanted that, so I took that out too.
Thank you for that.
Okay, Mike, you got anything else for us?
No, I mean, if there's anything that people see or the garden club or whatever, let's talk and get it straightened out, and, but it's essentially making the planters that are there concrete and redoing the slab.
I will confirm that the garden club is aware of this, it's been circulated, and pretty much in agreement, so
Yeah.
thanks for spurring that on.
And I want to say one more time, a lot of gratitude towards the garden club. They do a beautiful job on that, that park.
Speaking to that, I want to also express my appreciation to the council and convey it to you as well, is to recognize that the council, including Joey, I think Ann too, agree that Pride Park is a respite park and put some limitations on commercial use of it. And that came out with Lions Club Park. Let's not commercialize our parks. Let's use them for open space and for place to relax, and primarily for our residents. So I would say that what happened at Pride Park should happen at
Okay. All right. Is that
The only other, I think, the only other thing is that, because we've had the winter that we've had, we have been up, we've watered the new trees up at,
observatory.
the observatory, and we'll probably do it again this week, given the temperatures, so.
Thanks for getting that fence put up there.
Yeah, the fence too.
Thanks for fixing the fence up there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on then, and we are, we've got, we have park requests to Public Works for upcoming fiscal year budget, and my thought is that maybe this is something we should, because we have some time yet, and maybe this is something we should move to another month and give us time to think about some projects or some questions or input we'd like.
Yeah, if anybody has anything that they want to get in the budget, just type something up, get it to me, and we'll.
Are you coming to the next resort tax board meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
So if everybody's agreeable, why don't we put that on a future agenda item? Okay, next up, we have a signage project, and this is a little committee of Rod and Sarah. Do you have anything you'd like to report tonight?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you go ahead. I mean, I will, but.
Sarah and I took a couple hours yesterday and toured pretty much every park. There's a lot of signage, a lot of repetitive signage, and a lot of it's faded and illegible. So it's going to be a big task. And we were talking en route that we're going to need people from Trails and Mike, and there's one of
Wild Fish and Game or
Wildlife,
Wildlife, whatever
Wildlife
they're.
and Park. Because we're seeing bear signs here and there, kind of random.
You mean bears leaving their sign or sign?
Signs for bears.
Right.
Fair one.
I just want to be clear.
But we saw a couple of bear aware signs, but probably not everywhere. A lot of smoking signs, which is great.
Do all the parks have the no tobacco signs? The
Yeah,
health
no
department
tobacco.
called me and asked me that the other day.
For the most part, I would say all of them had it. I think maybe Dog Park was the only one
I think there was one at the dog park.
outside the.
Yeah, I think there's one out.
Okay,
Yeah,
So we feel like we're covered on the tobacco
I
signs.
think so. There was one.
Even though
there
it's
was one-
does not have one of it.
What's that?
Van Dyke Park does not have
That's
one.
true.
That, yeah.
Even though we
Van Dyke
don't
does
actually
not
have an
have
ordinance
one.
against it.
And,
Have a non-smoking sign.
there's also one down at, Moose Trail that's faded, mounted to the wood fence that probably should go away.
Did you
There's
guys
a
write
new-
did you guys write down all the signs that need replaced?
Yeah, we will get, so I guess my input would be, there's like a few different levels of details that this project could go into. We could just make sure that each park has the right signage, and that it's updated and not faded. Or we could go to, you know, make this a grand project and make everything be consistent. Some parks were completely identified, you know, with the rock, or some sort of signage. Some parks didn't have any sort of identifier. Do we want to put consistent signage up? So I feel like there's some ways that it could go, and we could put together some outlines if that would be helpful to decide at what level of detail do we want to take it. It could require some funds and help from Public Works if there's a lot of maintenance or changes that need to be done.
It could be a capital, it could be a budget request in the future.
Well, I think, I'm guessing that we could probably use the Parks project money for that.
Okay.
And we have that already budgeted, so.
Okay.
I would say if you guys can come to a consensus on whether you want to just fix up what's there, get rid of the faded stuff, get something or replaces that are missing. Give me that list and we can get it. If you want it all to be kind of the branded, then we need to figure that out. I still think we could do it out of the.
And I was wondering, Tom put in a lot of effort for putting addresses on most of the parks, is that correct? Do we want that address, physical address, on every sign?
We could, I mean, I don't know, yeah, I guess, I mean, I don't know that an address, most people just go to their phone and
they Google
drive to it.
And they wonder if they're in the right place.
When it says you're here, they know they're there, they don't know what address they're at, so.
But as long as the park is identified and in Google Maps or in the system, there's an address linked to it.
Yeah.
If they say I'm at Pride Park, emergency or whoever should be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it seems like that back end work is done. We just need to make sure that everything is identified, correct?
Yeah, I would like to see some consistency in our park identification signs.
I would too. I want to keep the unique signs that we already have, but also maybe do, you know, City of Red Lodge with our logo and then the name of the park perhaps.
You might want to talk to Danae, because I think that it has, we would want to follow the branding that's already approved.
Right.
Yeah.
And she has all that, so.
And there's a couple of parks that had 40 signs at a couple of the parks.
Really?
Various kinds. It's absurd.
Lions Park? Or I mean,
Dog
Lions
park,
Park.
for one.
There's all kinds of signs up there.
And there was, I mean, there's,
Why?
they're all over, and I thought, this is ridiculous. I need to look at how many.
And if there's a sort of like best practices for park use in general that could be generic for each park, I think that would be nice. We saw an example around town that we could use, and some of the parks had something similar, but and then the phase 2 would be sort of in conjunction with our park tour, but there's some spaces that aren't identified at all. So what park space do we need signage at? And are there some that we still have to decide if we're taking on or not based off of our
So
trip?
some input from Parks Board.
Yeah,
On
okay.
each park, too. That would be helpful.
So are you two willing to follow up a little bit on some of the info we got tonight?
Yeah.
Maybe, I think checking with Danae on the branding signs of cities that were approved, might be a good place to start too, particularly on identifying signs for the parks and the entrance signs.
And then I want to work closely with BTT too, because if there's any sort of consistency that can be done there too, city branding and the parks and trails, like that would be great, I think, so.
Yeah. So what, you can just let us know when you have enough information to report back to the Martin General, and we'll throw it in the way. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, we are up to the ambassador reporting. This is where each member of the So the board has kind of taken upon themselves to be an ambassador or representative of the one or two parks. Kind of keep an eye on it, and if they have any problems, they bring it up to the board, and usually it's an item for Mike's consideration. So at this point, I think we'll just go around again.
I'm dog park, and I must say that I haven't been very much this winter because it's so muddy, so I haven't heard anything, but I've also not realized anything, probably a couple, 2 or 3 weeks.
We were up there yesterday and got some really good feedback from people that were using the space. It looked really clean and bags were stocked and they were really happy with it, so.
Good.
I'm Lions Park. The only thing that I would mention is, I think that Red Lodge Ice has decided that they're done for the season because of the climate. So I'm just curious if they're gonna, I don't think anyone is here, but if they're taking everything down early, or what the plan is for that, and if there's any additional signage or notifications that need to be up, and I forgot to ask when they were here, but.
Right.
Their, Facebook post said that they were hoping for cooler weather in a couple weeks, so I think they're just gonna leave things up and see how it goes, but.
Okay, so they still might make use of it.
Yeah, it's only February, so we could hope that we get some cold weather.
I know someone had said that they, do you know who said that? That the Red Lodge Ice was gonna be down for the season?
One of those Facebook groups.
Okay.
That said it. But there's a big giant closed sign up there.
Yeah, no, on their Facebook post, they said it's closed for at least a couple weeks until it's cold.
Hopefully we're gonna
Yeah.
have a real winter yet, so.
Right.
That's
Oh,
next Thursday.
I hope we got a new plow truck and a new
It'll
loader.
happen in April.
Holding you to that.
So I have Field School Park and, the skate park. As far as I know, they're all in good shape at this point. Signage seemed good. I still have not heard anything back on the cupola that was proposed. We put there by the pickleball.
Oh, yeah, kind of a shelter.
Yeah, they were supposed to come forward with some idea, I think, but that hasn't happened. Have you heard anything from?
Yeah, I think I was supposed to draw something up and I haven't got it done yet, so.
Yeah. But other than that, it looks fine from what we could tell. There's nothing amiss.
Okay. I have, Finn Park and Rotary Park, and, walked through them today. Parks look good. There's not really any problems. But when we're talking about signs, Lions Park has got a lot of signs in it. And a lot of signs nailed onto trees.
Yeah, we talked about
I think
that.
it's, I think that's one of the things we want to address, pack your trash in, pack it in, pack it out, and no parking, no overnight camping, a lot of signs that maybe we should look at a better way of displaying those signs as part of this sign.
We made notes of all of that.
Because it's a little, kind of trashy looking, I guess maybe. But the park looks fine, other than that.
Sorry, I'll let you finish and then I have a question further related to it. Sorry.
So I have Van Dyke Park. Thank you for closing off, fixing the fence there, and the only, remaining issue, I guess, is, just the ruts in the path, that goes around, the park, and the trees. Thank you for watering. We appreciate that, given that we don't have any snowpack right now. So, other than that, I've walked around it a couple of times lately, and it looks great, so.
Good.
Except for weeds.
Okay.
Roger, one other thing that Rod and I did make mention of was, in some of these parks, not specifically the ones that were mentioned right now, except for Finn Park, could there be a need for any sort of perimeter identifier? And I'm bringing it up because I noticed at the back of Finn Park where it butts up against the Eagle's Nest stuff, there's an old mine metal tripod thing that's coming out, and then there's some other stuff. Is there any need to sort of identify, especially with safety concerns for that property, like the end of Finn Park? I don't know what that looks like, if it's just a stake, maybe that's pointless, I don't know. It was just, we mentioned it a couple different times, so.
That, the property line, I think that road kind of dead ends up there, and I think that where the road dead ends, that's sort of up the property line that goes across the park.
It's not far past those big cottonwoods.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you know, I agree, it's a little bit fuzzy about where the park.
Oh, and then the other one was, is it Moran Park? Just up there with the private land behind that, like, is there any sort of need to, I don't.
Yeah, it's pretty much an undeveloped park at this point. It does have a trail and a little bridge over a ditch.
There's a sign that
Behind them?
identifies the trails in the park.
Yeah.
Go down,
That road.
Oh, it's a different Moran than.
It's behind the spires.
Yeah.
It's Van Dyke Park.
Observatory.
Observatory.
Okay, at the airport.
Maybe we can look at some way of
We need a sign.
identifying that, even maybe a simple, split cedar fence or something across that property line that, where the gap at Finn Park might help it. I don't know.
Let's see what they do with getting the eagles now.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Where we build a fence and then tear it
Yeah.
down.
Okay.
I have a
let's-
question real quick, this might be, but who, is it the parks who are, responsible or make recommendations of speed limit signs? Cause
Well, that
Lions
would-
Park could certainly use another 15 mile an hour.
Which one?
Lions Park
Oh.
on Hauser, because people just speed
I
right there.
think that's more in
That-
streets.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. All right, we're gonna move on to, future agenda items, if there's no other comments regarding the ambassador reporting. I made a couple notes that, we need to put an MOU committee together to come up with an MOU, not only for, Red Lodge Ice, but come up with a boilerplate, maybe a check-off system, so we know what items have to be, should be mandatory.
It's been a little circular, and I think if you look at sitting at land use and planning for the same
Yeah.
task, and I would, again, offer to help, and share what we've been through to kind of set process, but
I think that would,
forward progress.
I think that'd be great, if we bring this to the next, Parks Board meeting, maybe we get a couple people from the Parks Board to volunteer to be on the committee, and if you would like to
Happy to help.
help out, that'd be great. You've got some practical experience now. That's, an
It's
advantage.
almost not laughable if you go or not.
Right now, it's fine.
And I guess, maybe at the next meeting, Mike, maybe you can give us a little, outline of the budget process and what we should know and what we should be looking at in terms of if we want to put together some requests for consideration for, budget requests, then maybe at the following meeting, we can
Yeah,
do a
no,
little
I think
brainstorming.
I can kind of answer that right now, just
Okay.
type one-page deal, what it is, ballpark cost, what you're looking for money, justification, that's the best way to get the process started.
So maybe what we can do is,
And we can do that, you can do that with an email,
yeah,
you don't need a meeting, we just start the process.
well, let's start that process, and if you have a project that you think this should be in consideration for a budget request, why don't you put that together and,
And it could be anything, it could be a comprehensive parks plan project, it could be something in one of the parks, whatever.
yeah. And so email that to Mike, if you would CC me too as well. And
Do you want it, Mike, or do you want, I'm happy to take them and put.
No, just shoot them to me and then, because then, you know, we can talk about it at resort tax, because that's where all the money comes from.
Yeah.
We can talk about it in Public Works, because it's under Public Works, and I think it's a good way to get the ball rolling. And it still has a lot of hurdles to get over before it gets approved by the council in the budget, but
sure,
I think that's a very efficient way to start the process.
listen,
I might suggest that the park ambassadors reach out to the MOU groups that you have relationships with, the users in your park, and ask if they have budget requests for 2025, 26, 27. Because sometimes they don't know that this is the time to ask for money and how to ask for it. So as ambassadors, that might be an easy way to help the process go smoothly.
Good comment. You know, we're gonna probably have an opening on the Parks Board, you know, next year. Might wanna consider that. The other thought I had, we talked a lot about volunteer efforts here, you know, in Pride Park, and I think at some point that, we should think about some type of, volunteer appreciation event or program. And, a lot of things wouldn't get done in our parks if it wasn't for our volunteers. We have really limited staff, and we depend heavily on these people. Lions Park is an example, Pride Park is another example. So I'd like to, I'm just trying to plant a seed in each one of you to kind of maybe think about how we can effectively show our appreciation and encourage our volunteers. It could be some kind of an ongoing thing, or it could be a one-time event. Maybe we could have representatives from each group come in and talk about what they do, you know, so that we keep that in front of the mind that how important we are to keeping our system running. So give that some thought, and maybe we can kick around some ideas at the next meeting.
On that note, it's gonna creep up, but Earth Day, Arbor Day.
There you go,
Park
and that could
cleanup.
fall right in conjunction with
Yeah,
that, Ken.
yeah.
Good point. Beth, you had a comment?
Yeah, you also could develop a list of focus tasks, because, I've come across people in the last few months who say they're ready to look for some volunteer stuff, but it has to be contained, and they were serious. So, you know, you have smallish tasks.
Okay, like
are
one-time
not
tasks?
controversial, and by the time you put all the limitations on it. But if you had a list, there are people that are kind of looking for something to do.
List of tasks that volunteers could take on.
Yeah,
Like one-time events,
yeah.
cleanups or something like
Yeah.
that. Okay, good. All right. If there's no other we have citizens' comments on matters within the board's jurisdiction.
Roger, I think we need to officially start the process to, replace, that, though.
Yeah, we do.
So we need to get some letters, an ad out or whatever they do.
We'll talk to that, we can talk to the mayor about that, can't we?
Yeah, we have to put it, I think we advertise it in the paper,
Advertise it,
yeah.
everything else.
Notice it in the paper, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Advertise for help.
I have a question
Free
regarding
help.
that. Do they have to be in the city limits?
They have to be within 4 miles.
Okay.
Citizen comments. Any citizen comments out there? Tom, come on
I
up.
hate to make a comment at the end of a meeting, but the meeting says. I'd like to just quick go back to the Pride Park renovations. So one of the things, if at all possible, it would be great to reconsider reestablishing the mural that was on the wall. For those of you who don't know, hadn't seen the mural, this was a hand-painted map of the Beartooths. It took a lot of time and effort, and it was kind of a signature piece of artwork for the community. And I was actually on the Parks Board when we made the unfortunate decision to paint over it. But it was, nobody wanted to repaint it, and, you know, it was deteriorating to the point where it was becoming an eyesore. However, I think there are methods and ways to reestablish that using more modern digital printing technology. Like a frame would have to be constructed and mounted to the side of the wall, but kind of like that billboard mounting. And I would love to see that reestablished, because I felt bad taking it off the wall. I would personally donate my time to help develop the graphic for that. And if we could just find some additional money to do kind of a billboard thing, I think it'd be a great addition.
I'd like to see
the park.
something besides just paint on that wall.
Yeah. So, my final comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Great idea. Any other comments from the citizens?
Well, going
Jeff?
to that, Jeff Wise,
Hey, Jeff, come on.
I wonder if anybody has any photographs of that
original drawing that could be digitized
Flashes, maybe.
and then possibly put onto a big sheet of paper or something and mounted. That's the only thought that came up.
That might be helpful. Any other comments? Any comments on Zoom? Anybody out there with Zoom? All right, going once, going twice, 3 times, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Meeting? Kind of doing, but I didn't know that was. Yeah, absolutely it was that.